Hey friends, today is March the 18th. And again, we're still in that phase where Moses is repeating what God has said on the law and how to do things and how to maintain themselves, and when they get to that place where he's taking them. And today he takes a look, excuse me, at and addresses the perpetual plight of the poor. There is a call on the church to take care of the poor. There is a call on God's people to take care of the poor. Poverty is timeless. It is without borders. We had, even back in the Old Testament, God was making provision for the poor. Poverty doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in. It doesn't matter what country you live in. It doesn't matter what kind of job you have, because it could be gone tomorrow. Poverty does not discriminate. And we also know that poverty was not overlooked by God. If you are in that situation, in a place where you need help, reach out to the local church. Reach out to a local church or to a local area in your community. We have an association in our area, the Baptist Association. I'm in a Baptist church, and we have an association it's the Baptist Association in our church, and that's what they're there for. They're there to help people in need and to point people in the right direction. We have all kinds of ministries in our area. Look for ministries in your area for help, because there is help to be had and to be found. And God made provisions about this in the law, but he also talked about it in the New Testament. We'll get to that in a second. But what they were supposed to do when they harvested their fields, they were supposed to leave behind droppings. Now, I've not ever been in a field and harvesting, although I do remember when I was a little girl going and digging up potatoes in my grandmother's garden. That was probably when I was 5 or 6 years old, maybe. But as far as planting and harvesting, I don't know anything about that. But I do know, even when the big harvesters come in, I live in a rural area where there's a lot of farming. Even when the harvesters come in and the big harvester trucks come in and they pick up their stuff, they leave behind. And they're supposed to, in this day, when they picked and when they harvest, they were supposed to leave it behind for those who were poor and who could not afford to buy anything. They weren't supposed to go back and pick it up. They were supposed to leave it there. And when we get to the story of Ruth and Naomi, this law will be ringing a bell, because this is exactly what happened to Ruth. Not Ruth and Naomi. Yeah, Ruth and Naomi. Excuse me. My mind sidetracked to Esther. But Ruth and Naomi, this is part of their story. This law is part of their story. But it is not just for the Old Testament. In the New Testament, Luke chapter 3, verse 11 says, anyone who has 2 shirts should share with the one who has none, and anyone who has food should do the same. It's decent humanity to share with those who are poor or are less fortunate, because poverty is timeless and without borders, and poverty does not discriminate. So maybe this week you can harvest through your closet. You can harvest through your pantry that might be full. And you can take that harvest and donate it to a Christian shelter in your area, to a homeless shelter in your area, to a food bank in your area. Maybe you got a bonus in your check and you just don't know what to do with it. Yeah, you could probably use it for a bill, or you could, of course, pay your bills, yes. Unless God tells you not to and wants you to trust him. That's a whole nother story. But ask God, God, translate this for me. Show me how this looks for me. I don't farm, but what can I harvest out of the bounty that you've given me to share with others? Yeah. What can we do What can we do? Because poverty does not discriminate, and it is timeless. How can we help? We'll see you tomorrow on Read Through the Word.